How can we create a chain reaction in the body that speeds up growth, metabolism, youth, vigor, and healing? And enzymes seem to be the thing that will help us do all of that. I've been really excited about enzymes since the first class I took in natural health. It was the first supplement that I bought, and I felt the difference that day. So I really think it's important that people understand about enzymes. I believe that even now, enzymes are a little misunderstood. And I think we can definitely do some more learning ourselves on how enzymes support us being healthy and well, and our clients be healthy and well. Staying young, that's the big topic of conversation, right? We all want to stay younger. And I suspect that's many more people than myself. So that's why I reached out to Leon and Lark of Enzyme Energy, formerly Healthy Reflections, to teach me more about enzymes. And I thought, let's just record the conversation. It's an exciting world of enzymes. I think it's more interesting. It's probably simpler than I realize and far more interesting, but with this complex cascade of benefits. Our aim today will be to share with you how and why to supplement with enzymes, and as a practitioner, how you can help your clients in ways you may not have anticipated. So, with that in mind, I'm really excited to announce Leon Peterson. Leon and his wife Lark and their daughter run Enzyme Energy. And Leon, I'll have you just tie right in and start to introduce yourself.
All right. Well, thank you, Juliana. Um, so I've been in the world of enzymes for close to just over 30 years. And I started off in a little health and fitness clinic in Mesa, Arizona, where I was managing that as a personal trainer. And I was very interested in recovery. We were always lifting weights and tearing the muscle apart, and it was important to recover quickly. And a big thing, especially back in the early 90s, everybody was starting to try steroids, and that was one thing I wasn't going to have any part of. So I was looking at any way to recover from a hard workout so that I could compete. I was actually competing in powerlifting at the
Mhm.
time, and it was important to recover. Now, part of this health and fitness clinic, we obviously got into nutrition quite heavily, and coincidentally at that time I was experiencing some health issues myself that kind of ran in our family. There were digestive issues, intestinal issues, and um, enzymes were introduced to me at that time. And not only that, we uh, saw or started using a dark field microscope to do a live cell analysis, and that was clear back in the early 90s. And when I saw what I saw, and what it was we took a drop of blood and looked at our blood under the microscope and saw what it looked like. And then we took some enzymes and waited, close to an hour, and then took another drop of blood. And the differences, it just shocked me. It was amazing. And from that point on, we started working with the enzymes and the microscope and started developing enzyme supplements based on how it changed and altered the blood. Um, so uh, as far as like my education and background, there I I went to school, college for about 3 years, and then I dropped out. I dropped out because my it school didn't do it for me. And what really did it for me was the research that I was doing with enzymes. And I would go to the ASU library and spend all my time there, the medical library, and spend all my time there reading and researching enzymes and seeing what they could do. And the big one was protease enzyme, the enzyme that digests protein. So I started utilizing them back in my early 20s and used it for health and fitness and for sports. And then that evolved into health of everyone else, because when I saw what the enzymes could do for inflammation, for recovery, for any of that, then we started using it for people that had other, issues and problems, and started developing different formulas for different issues. But in the beginning, we only had one type of enzyme. It was a digestive enzyme. It was, an enzyme that would digest your complete meal, and we used that for a systemic. We used it for dairy issues. We used it for, heartburn. We used it for, I mean, you name it. We had one enzyme, and that's what we used, and now today there's an enzyme formula for everything, whatever you have, there's an enzyme formula for it.
Sure,
So
sure.
yeah.
So, can you explain to people what enzymes do in the body?
Yeah, so enzymes do a couple things. Uh they break things apart and they speed things up. So the type of enzymes that we use digest food. So you've got protease, amylase, and lipase. Protease digests proteins, amylase digests carbohydrates, and lipase digests fats. And it breaks it apart. But what the enzymes do is they speed up that whole process so it doesn't take very long. In fact, the speed of an enzyme, uh, oh my gosh, let's see, it can do thousands of reactions per second. In fact, some enzymes can work even faster than that. And there's a demonstration that we've done where you take a digestive enzyme and put it into a bowl of oatmeal, and within seconds it liquefies it, and you get to see how fast it actually works. The reason we were using the microscope, well, one of the reasons is you got to see how fast it worked inside the body once it got absorbed into the bloodstream, and you could see how fast it worked, and that was a big interest to me because I'm not one to wait.
Yeah,
I like my results now, and and
that's here.
and and, and enzymes give those results to you now. The other thing is that nothing happens in your body without enzymes making it happen. You don't breathe, you don't think, you don't digest, you don't move, you don't contract a muscle without enzymes making that happen. And so if you're enzyme deficient, or you're eating cooked processed foods and that's all you're eating, you're gonna degenerate quicker. You're going to use up your enzymes and age, and
Yeah,
that's what happens. Yeah,
yeah. I saw that in my own experience because, like I said, when I started my health journey because I was very not well.
yeah,
Um, Lots of physical pain. I was gaining significant amounts of weight, hormone imbalance, etc. And it was interesting to me the first time I took them because the lady said to me, she hands me the bottle and she says, take two of these with your next meal, and take two right now and two with your next meal, and then two in the afternoon and two more at dinner. And I
yeah,
thought, oh my gosh, that's a lot.
right,
But the next, like that day, I felt better. I could tell that there was a difference. I didn't feel that sort of bloaty feeling that I almost felt all the time. And I kept going, and I kept seeing better and better and felt lighter, and the pain started to recede a little bit. So I saw it happen fast. And I think that goes to your point, is how quickly they start to work in the body.
yeah. So what she asked you to do was, when you take it with your meals, it digests your food, but when you take it in between meals, it gets into your bloodstream, and it breaks apart any of the called floating immune complexes, or unprocessed food that's still floating around in your bloodstream, causing inflammation. And so once you digest and break that apart, everything just starts to work better. Your blood holds more oxygen, delivers it to parts of the body that may, haven't been delivered to for quite a while. The
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing about enzymes, and why it seemed like, oh, she's asking me to take so many, is because they work on contact. If it doesn't contact anything, then they just sit there and don't do anything. But as soon as it bumps up against something, then they begin to work. So the more you take, the faster the result. The less you take, the longer the result. It just takes more. Enzymes, the interesting one of the interesting things about enzymes is that they don't, in the right environment, they don't die. So you could have one enzyme, and it would start to work, and if the pH is right and the environment's right, it'll continue to work indefinitely. And so you can take an enzyme, and if it would stay in the body, it would just continue to work and it wouldn't stop.
Mm.
And but it goes through your digestive tract, goes into the bloodstream. They do the pH changes, and then the enzyme stops working, and so you continue to take them. Or let me back up. All your raw foods have their own natural enzymes, so they digest very easily.
Mm.
But when you cook it, it kills the enzyme, and so it becomes hard to digest. And so when you take a digestive enzyme with your meals, it's like making it raw again, or as close to raw as possible, so that
Mhm.
you're actually putting those enzymes back in to those foods so that they digest easily and aren't such a burden on your body.
So it leads me to two questions. The first one is if someone really struggles to digest their food, this is going to help them do that, right? You're just not going to be left with that bloaty, heavy,
Right,
yucky feeling after you eat.
right.
Um, and then let's go back to pH for a second. So, lots of people are acidic, and we know that because of the lifestyle, too much sugar, stress, etc., not breathing very well. I mean, I've seen the research on how breath can make the body more alkaline. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is that if you are more acidic, then it's going to take more enzymes to do the same work. Am I translating that right?
Well, somewhat. The so enzymes are very specific. So and let's take the enzymes that are naturally occurring in your body, your digestive enzymes that naturally occur in your body work in a very specific pH range. So the enzymes that are released in your stomach work in a very acidic uh
Hmm.
pH range, and they digest protein mostly. But when it moves into your small intestine, it becomes slightly alkaline, and
Hmm.
then it shuts down those enzymes and other enzymes take over. So,
Hmm.
so what we do when we formulate our products is that we look for enzymes that have a very wide pH range,
Okay.
something that can work in an acidic pH and something that can work in a very alkaline pH. So you'll see that our digestive enzymes have two or three different proteases, two or three different amylases, two or three different lipases. And that is so that it works in a very wide pH range. So it'll work in the stomach, it'll work in the small intestine, it'll work through the whole digestive tract. So
Ah,
so
okay.
so yeah, we spend a lot of time making sure we have the right enzymes in those supplements so that it won't matter if you're acidic or alkaline. These enzymes will work.
Well, that answers the one of the thoughts that I had was that we talk about supplements hit the stomach
Right.
and they're broken down in stomach acid. But it sounds like it's intentionally you've set it up intentionally to
Yeah.
offset for that.
Right.
And also some of that needs to happen in that environment.
Yeah.
So, if people aren't breaking down meat as an example because they're low in hydrochloric acid, because we know many people are that too, then this is going to help them break down the meat, which releases the carbon, which increases their hydrochloric acid. And so they have easier time digesting meat. So it creates a really good offset healing environment.
Right. So I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Edward Howell. He's not around anymore, but he was a major pioneer in enzyme research,
Okay.
and he talked a lot about something called the law of adaptive secretion, which is the body will release as many enzymes as it needs to digest whatever you put in. So if you're
Mm,
eating raw food with its own natural enzymes, it releases very few enzymes because the enzymes are already present in those foods. But if you eat a cooked processed food, then the body has to release a lot of enzymes. Now, part of this law of adaptive secretion, when you eat, uh, you have about 20 to 30 minutes that the stomach is secreting hydrochloric acid and uh, enzymes to start digesting your meats or your proteins. And during that 20 to 30 minutes, the food can start to ferment or
yeah.
cause gas and bloating. It sits there. So that 20 to 30 minutes, he called it pre-digestion. Here's an opportunity to pre-digest while the stomach gets ready to start digesting protein. So if you're eating raw food, they're naturally digesting. But if you're eating the cooked process, then you got that 20 to 30 minutes that it's fermenting. You add some sugar, dessert, whatever, and now you're throwing gasoline on the fire.
Right.
So if you take an enzyme with your cooked processed food or a few minutes before, then it has an opportunity to help with that predigestion.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
get
And
rid
so
of
that also goes to the idea of taking enzymes without food because that meat that hasn't broken down in your stomach sits in the intestines and ferments and off gases and creates ammonia.
yeah,
So that's the purpose of taking enzymes between meals, right? Is to help to cleanse the gut,
right,
get that
right,
stuff moving.
yeah,
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 some estimates, what, 40 pounds of undigested food sitting in the digestive tract?
yeah,
Yep, so enzymes are going to help with that too.
yeah, it does. And one of the things that happens in the body is the through the digestive tract you create mucus, and that mucus over the years has an opportunity to harden. We have preservatives in the foods that we eat, and we actually start creating layers in the digestive tract, and some of that could be classified as biofilm,
Mm.
from virus and bacteria that create biofilm and holds on to toxins that slowly leak into the bloodstream, causing inflammation, headaches, poor eyesight, you name it, arthritis, degenerative diseases. Um, yeah, almost all your degenerative diseases, I'm going to tell you, will start in the colon and through the digestive tract because of all this toxicity that's been hardened. Now there's a lot of research on specific enzymes that help break up these mucosal linings or the biofilms as well. And once those are broken up and released out of the body has an opportunity to start to heal, cleanse,
Mhm.
and be better.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that because disc there's a lot of discussion about biofilm colonies in many of the chronic illnesses that we see people for on a regular basis. And breaking down that biofilm colony and getting an opportunity to get in and take the bugs out that we don't want,
Yeah.
that have decided that they're really happy in that environment, and we're like, no, you don't belong here. And there's an enzyme formula or formulas or portions that can break down that biofilm colony.
Yeah, there's systemic enzymes that you take between meals on an empty stomach or before bed or when you first get up. The systemic enzymes are mostly proteolytic or protease enzymes that digest protein. So you want to look at what your biofilms are made of. They're made of protein and carbohydrates, and there's specific carbohydrates that they're made of. So your proteases help break apart biofilm, but then also your cellulase, xylanase, chitinase, um, uh, glucanase, those enzymes that break down fiber and have been shown to break apart biofilm. And once that biofilm is broken apart, it exposes the virus, it exposes the bacteria, and then your proteases uh, um, do a number on virus and bacteria. They're protein organisms, and proteases help break those apart too, and help eliminate it from the body. There are other things that you can do to eliminate the virus and the bacteria as well, and we can get into that later or on a different uh, podcast or
Yeah.
but but enzymes, yeah, your systemic enzymes are help break that apart. Your digestive enzymes taken on a regular basis will help break that apart as well.
So for situations where the body's producing extra fibro what am I looking for? Fibrinolytic tissue,
Yeah.
extra colonies of tissue, collections of tissue. You think systemic enzymes make sense for something like a collection of tissue that is creating some challenges?
Yeah, so our systemic enzymes, we put together a group of proteases that digest protein, but we also include amylase and lipase that digest carbohydrates and fats. Because if you look at like arterial sclerosis, it's going to be made up of fibrin that and possible uric acid crystals, could be cholesterol crystals, it could be, it's just a buildup on the arterial wall.
Mm.
And the proteases dissolve fibrin. And that's something that we saw in the microscope a long time ago, that it dissolves fibrin very quickly, like within seconds and minutes, it
Yeah.
just dissolves fibrin. Once you've dissolved that fibrin, then everything's loose, and it can be, it's not attached to the cell wall anymore, and it can be digested with the other enzymes. So
Well, it
it,
gets me thinking about too. You mentioned arthritis. Yeah, I've used proteolytic enzyme therapy for joint support with great success
yeah,
from a company. It was a formula out of Europe, so which is becoming harder to find. So that's about, and I've tried to explain it, and hopefully I'm right, is that the body has all this extra stuff, right? It's the sugars, it's the toxins, it's the materials that the body doesn't know what to do with. You mentioned blood or food in the bloodstream. And so the body says, well, I can't have that go to the heart and the lungs because those are critical functions. Whereas your shoulders, your hips are not critical life functions. So it accumulates debris in those places. And so the enzymes go in and kind of help scavenge that debris. Am I explaining that right?
yeah, somewhat, yes. The you just kind of want to look at circulation and how, you know, your extremities, there's less circulation than there is in your chest and stomach area. There's more circulation. Your vitals are there, and so the body's going to keep good circulation there so that you stay alive. And then you're further out you go, the less circulation.
Okay.
Uh, but your joints also is a good place for things to accumulate, because everything bends, and so things just accumulate there.
Yeah.
And some of it has to do with your genetic makeup, your kind of what trends in your family. If I've got bad knees, because that's, what my parents had given me, because they had bad knees, and so we developed those issues. However, we don't have to have those issues. You can reverse those things. You can get rid of those things through using enzymes. And you know, there's all kinds of vitamins and minerals and herbs and things that you can take, but those vitamins and minerals and herbs don't work without enzymes. Enzymes are the things that cause those things to work. So you can combine enzymes with those other things to get even better results. However, the more, I don't know if you watch social media much, but so much is coming out on inflammation. In fact, they're even making claims that every disease is from one cause, and that's inflammation. And whether that's true or not, I don't know, but your systemic proteolytic enzymes are going to be your number one product that's going to help with almost every disease, and especially if it's coming from inflammation.
Yeah, and I've thought about that a lot. And I know that the body uses inflammation to begin the healing process.
Yeah,
But then when there's too much of it, then we're overly inflamed. And particularly when the body doesn't have enough, either has too much interference or doesn't have enough fuel, it
right.
can't get that inflammation back under control. And we talk about all the different reasons why leaky gut, sugar, this, that, and all of our contributing factors. But the ability to come back out of that situation is the catalyst for the healing process that I'm always looking for, whether it's myself or a client. So can enzymes be part of that catalyst of, okay, we've been headed in this direction inflammatory wise for a long time. Can we kind of like, now we need to do a 180. Let's turn the wheel, and we're turning the wheel because we've started to add some enzyme formulas in.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to get into some. Well, let's just jump in. So, okay, this is my take on how the body works, and I've been doing this for over 30 years, and when it comes to diseases, especially degenerative diseases, I'm going to tell you it all starts in the colon. We're not eliminating the toxins faster than they're coming in.
Mm,
And so if we're not eliminating, it builds up, it gets caught, it gets into the bloodstream, it gets caught in the joints, it gets caught all over the body. And so we're constantly inflamed. And the thing that we continue to do is we continue to eat. We don't stop eating. And
yeah,
and and it keeps we just keep putting in that garbage, that stuff that builds up in the body, and then we're not eliminating it.
right.
So we've come up with formulas. The first thing is to digest everything that you're putting in the body, uh,
Mm,
so it can at least utilize it, and you can get the recovery and the strength from it. However, all the toxins that we're continuing to putting in the body, we're not eliminating them. And people will say, "Oh, I eliminate on a regular basis. I don't have a problem with that." But if you have any type of degenerative disease, I'm going to tell you you're not eliminating properly. You're still not getting all that out of there. What um and we put together colon cleanses that deal with or use oxygen, because the three things that I saw that altered the blood the fastest were digestive enzymes, oxygen, and minerals. And not all minerals, certain minerals will cause the blood to change. And so with the combination of enzymes, oxygen, and minerals, you can actually cleanse the body at a rate that has uh, issues reverse or get out of the body. And a lot of times I'll ask people, um, have you found what your root cause is? Like they have all, whatever issue they have. I ask, have you found the root cause? Well, my doctor has me on this, and they show me, 12 different products, and I feel bad for them. And they're all natural and herbal, but they're still just dealing with symptoms. And if you can eliminate faster than the toxins are coming in, those symptoms go away. They
yeah.
just so I always go back to a digestive enzyme, a good colon cleanse, ozonated or oxygenated colon cleanse, and a systemic. And
Um,
and
it
because
leads me, let me ask you a question first, and then I'm gonna come back to the two that I was thinking about. Do we add enzymes to an enema, a colon flush? Is
you
that a doable thing?
Well, so back in the 90s, I used to do seminars where I would teach people how to do colon cleanses, and then we call them implants, where after you're done with the colon cleanse, you could implant probiotics and enzymes
Yeah,
right into the rectum. And we don't do that anymore. It's a hard sell. People don't want to do that. They don't want to. It was just a hard sell,
yeah,
but when people are sick enough, they'll try anything,
sure.
and to this day, I'll still do colon cleanses, and when I talk about a colon cleanse, I'm talking about 5 gallons of water, ozonated
Mm,
water, with a Kalima board, 5 gallons in the morning, 5 gallons in the evening, and it takes about an hour to have that water run through you, and you can do it in your own home. But
yeah,
I use ozonated water so that oxygen goes in and gets rid of bacteria, virus, yeast, parasites.
fascinating.
Yeah, and it works incredibly well. The Okay. So if we were to go back into the 90s when I got involved with all this, I'm going to tell you one of the questions that you put on that you wanted me to answer was uh, what are my passions? Like what makes me passionate about this is the issues I was dealing with at the time. Uh, Kind of stemmed with to colon cancer. My grandmother had colon cancer and had most of her colon removed, and had a colostomy bag on her side,
Wow.
and then my father started dealing with colon issues in his 50s, around there, and then I was dealing with colon issues in my 20s, and I saw this pattern, and
Oh,
I didn't want colon cancer. I didn't want it to develop into, a colostomy bag. Um, And so I started researching, and I started, like I said, I dropped out of school, and all my energy went into research into how the body operates, the fastest way I could get it to heal. And what I found was Dr. Bernard Jensen's book, Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management. That
Mm,
completely altered my life, and it got me into the world of cleansing
yeah,
and enzymes, because they
yeah.
used enormous amounts of enzymes and a lot of cleansing. And I went through that process, and then I met a gentleman by the name of Bud Curtis, who added ozone to what Bernard Jensen was doing, and now we're using ozonated water and for the cleanses, and and over the years that it finally developed into ozonated magnesium. So
Interesting.
yeah, and so we offer an ozonated magnesium, so you can take it in capsule form rather than having to sit on the doing these 5 gallon water enemas that take hours. However, I still recommend those because there's nothing like it,
Yeah.
if you had the opportunity to do that. But uh, the common thing was that we took enormous amounts of enzymes with all that just to clear everything. And I say enormous amounts of enzymes because they work on contact. They work on contact, and that's the whole thing. Is it's got to touch the debris. It's got to touch the toxins. It's got to touch the protein, the fats. If it doesn't touch it, it doesn't do it. So that's why you continue to take them. But it's the one thing that has made the biggest difference for everybody I've ever worked with are the enzymes, and the cleansing.
Boy, we could talk about that for hours.
Yeah.
Um, let's save that for another conversation because I'd love to dive more into that. Um, when I first met Arlene, who started Healthy Reflections, the company that you guys have taken over and are doing some amazing stuff with, I recall her talking about part of what got her into enzymes and formulating enzymes was the accidents she'd been in, and the injuries that she sustained. And I think maybe we've touched on this already, but can you speak to enzymes with recovery from physical injury, scar tissue, things along those lines?
So yeah, I met Arlene over 25 years ago. In fact, we were doing the blood work. We were using the microscope, and
Mhm.
we went into her home and took a drop of blood off her finger, and she started talking to me about the car accidents that she's been in, and multiple, and her joints were all bound up with scar tissue, and she had some issues, and so she had been introduced to enzymes before I met her, but we're actually the ones that helped formulate her products, her original products, and so I've known Arlene for quite a while. The and she was able to see on the microscope, see what her blood looked like, and it was filled with fibrin, which is causes scar tissue. So when the body gets cut, there's something in your bloodstream called platelets, and these platelets, it's a really interesting thing that they splay out like a spider web,
Mm,
um, and they create this spider web in the cut, and it causes the blood to clot. So your fibrin are there as a mechanism to help heal, keep you from dying from accidents or whatever. But the issue with scar tissue is that fibrin uh, stops the bleeding or helps stop the injury, and it's part of inflammation. That's what causes the swelling, is all this fibrin is in there, and the body's pumping blood to that area, and white blood cells are going to that area, but the fibrin never goes away. It
yeah.
stays there, and it causes scar tissue.
Mm,
And if the body was to heal completely, the scars go away, the scar tissue goes away. However, because the type of foods we eat, the body has to go back to digesting food. So it kind of puts a Band-Aid on it and
Mm,
saves your life, puts the scar tissue there, and then it goes on to, keeping the body alive. And if you've noticed, like I've noticed that there was scars that I had as a little child that completely have healed and gone away. They're not there, but then there's scars that are still there,
yeah.
that have stuck with me. Um, but what you'll find with what enzymes do, especially proteolytic enzymes, is they break down fibrin, they break down scar tissue,
Hmm.
and so, but you have to take it on an empty stomach, systemically, so it can get into the bloodstream, it can get to the scar tissue, and over time, it will dissolve that scar tissue, and cause the body to heal. So it is possible to, and Arlene experienced this. That was part of her transformation was um, being able to get rid of a lot of joint pain, a lot of aches
Yeah.
and pain, and relieve the body of scar tissue.
So I kind of ask for selfish reasons. I've had 5 abdominal surgeries due to the situations I dealt with in the past, including uterine fibroids. Um, and so my body appears to have and I've dealt with what could have been termed as fibromyalgia, was never diagnosed. I didn't chase the diagnosis, but it has all the hallmarks of what we call fibromyalgia. So as I look back on how my body has progressed, there seems to be a propensity to produce this fibrin um, in excess amounts. Yes, my diet was not good. Lots of sugar, lots of alcohol, um, carbohydrates, very stressed, very adrenal, high cortisol, low blood sugar. I'd drop blood sugar. My body would crave sugar. I'd eat sugar. I'd come back up again for a minute and then right back down again, more sugar. So all of that I know contributed to what I had to work through. The scar tissue itself remains fairly persistent.
Yeah.
So if you were to say to me, "Hey, I might recommend," what would you recommend for me for clearing up more of the scar tissue?
The systemic enzyme taken in between meals and before bed.
Okay.
Now, the the formulas are a lot different than they were 25 years ago. 25 years ago, we had 2 or 3 options for protease, and that was it. Now we have enormous amounts of options for proteases, and there are proteases that are very specific to breaking apart fibrin, your nattokinase and your serratiopeptidase,
Mm.
and these our systemic enzyme is formulated with so many activity units that it doesn't take near as many enzymes as it used to.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, yeah, take one with in between meals, taken before bed. It depends on how fast you want your result, you know. Or
Tomorrow would be
yeah,
great.
right. Well,
This has
then,
been
then
ongoing for a while.
right, then I'd recommend if you want a result by tomorrow, you take them in between meals and before bed.
Okay.
You can't take too many, is what I'm getting at. You can't take too many. You can take too few,
Yeah.
you know. All these don't work. I mean, we'll take more.
Right.
And and then you can back off. You get the result because once you've broken apart the scar tissue, it's dissolving. It's going away. You don't want it to come back by eating a whole bunch of crap, and enzyme deficient foods. So then you maintain with a good digestive enzyme, with your meals.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. I'll do that. Then I'll definitely be ordering some of those.
Yeah,
Um, can you talk about, because you said that you also do the manufacturing.
right.
Can you just tie into briefly, kind of give me an idea of where these enzyme components come from,
Okay.
and then your quality process?
Okay. So it, enzymes come from all over the world. There's I'm going to say I'm partial to enzymes that come from Japan. They've been around longer. They've kept it more natural than any other enzyme uh, supplier in the world. But they come from everywhere. So we've got enzymes that come from Japan, from China, from India, from Mexico, from European countries. So all over. Um, but the thing that we do though is we test everything. So enzymes are different than other ingredients because they're not just measured in milligrams, they're measured in activity units
Mm,
because these enzymes are active. They actually do something. They don't just sit there and wait to be acted upon. They're actually doing the action. And so they're measured in activity units. So once the enzyme comes in, we test it for purity. We make sure that there's we get the TPC count or total plate count, find out if there's any active bacteria, something that doesn't belong there. We test it for chemicals that don't belong there. We test it for irradiation. We test so we make sure it's clean and we do that. Some of that is done in our lab that we have, and some of it is done by a third party lab. We send it off to other labs, but every ingredient that comes into our building is tested. Every ingredient is tested, and it's tested for purity and for activity to make sure that it is what it says it is. Otherwise, we send it back. We use it for something else, whatever. It doesn't go into our supplements. Once it's been tested, then it goes into a blending facility where everything's measured out just like a recipe, so much of this, so much of that, and it gets blended. And then once it's blended, then it goes into our encapsulation. Once it's encapsulated, it's retested for activity and retested for bacterial count, make sure
mm,
that it stayed clean. And then it goes into the bottle and then shipped out to us,
yeah.
yeah. So it goes through a lot of testing. It's not just, slapped in a capsule and put in a bottle and sent out the door.
Right.
Um, yeah. So yeah, and that's something that I've there's not very many enzyme companies anymore. There used to be quite a few, but they've all been bought up. They've all been corporate America, big corporations have bought them and altered and changed them. We're probably the last uh, uh, enzyme specific. Like that's what that we specialize in enzymes, and then we
Mhm.
throw in some herbs or vitamins, but our company specializes in enzymes, and that's we do it
Awesome.
better than anybody on the planet.
Well, and I love that it's a family run business. It's you and Lark and your daughter. That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
Super cool. Um, so I I've used enzymes in practice for a little while, but everybody can use a little bit more education. Can you talk to how you support practitioners? Because you sell directly to practitioners. You're not selling to retail.
right. We do. Our line is a professional line for practitioners, so they're formulated strong. They're very strong. They work fast. Our website is set up where you can come in and you have to ask for I don't want to call it a membership. It's what does Lark call it? She's the one that handles that end of the business.
Oh, I don't even remember. I guess
Right?
you got to confirm that you're qualified, right?
You got to confirm that you're a practitioner, you're a licensed practitioner, and once you are, then we open up the website to you. Otherwise, you can go on the website and you can look at the products and things like that. You just don't have access to them until you become show that you are a health practitioner. Once
Mhm.
that happens, then you can go onto the back side of the website and you can order at wholesale. So you order wholesale and we ship it out to you, and you can sell it out of your office. Uh, However, we have started an affiliate program where we will drop ship to your customers, your patients, that kind of thing. So if you don't want to keep it on your shelf in your office, you can send your customer to the website with your link, and they will purchase it retail, and then we send you the commission. So we're
That's
set up.
nice.
Yeah, we're set up to support the practitioner any way they want to be supported. They can either sell it out of their office, or we can drop ship it and make sure that they get a commission.
So you mentioned you're doing a video series on that helps to with learning about enzymes. Can you share where you're at with that?
Yeah, so there's another company. So I've got a business partner. There's two or three businesses that I own or am in partnership with, and I've got a business partner that is putting together another website, and a company that is all about enzyme education, and I get to help with that education series. So we're putting together a series of videos for practitioners, and actually anybody that wants to become a practitioner and learn more about enzymes can take these courses. Um, but we're going to be able to. He will be able to say things in these courses that we can't say at a company level. Like I would love to say, hey, this stuff cures cancer. This stuff will get rid of every disease that you're dealing with, and let me tell you how. And but he'll be able to do that because he's not going to be product specific. He's going to talk
Right.
about enzymes. And then you can go back and look at your label and go, oh, we have that enzyme. We have that enzyme. He just said that it does this. And that keeps us legal. It keeps us away from being shut down,
Sure.
from saying things that we shouldn't say because we're not medical
Yeah.
practitioners. We're not doctors. So, but where we're at with it is the first series is 25 videos. We've got 15 videos done. Once he's up and running, we're going to put a link on our site so that practitioners can actually go there and learn more about enzymes. And I'll tell you, once if you dip your toe into the enzyme world, you don't come back. I'll tell you that if you spend any time with me, you'll take enzymes.
Yeah.
You will. And when you start to understand nothing works without an enzyme, your vitamins, your minerals, your herbs, they don't work unless an enzyme is present. Then it's like, okay, maybe the most important thing I should be taking are enzymes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the video series is almost done. We're probably a month and a half away from having that produced and started, but it is a different website. It's a different only for legal reasons, and
Yeah,
and
sure.
and because he's not part of my business, he can say whatever he wants, and it's not tied to anybody's formula. But
Yeah, I'm not worried about compliance.
yeah, yeah, you'll be able to connect the dots, though.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. Um, do you have any what I would call best practices with choosing enzymes? I've seen your spec sheets. Spec sheets are available.
But
Do you have best practices for choosing enzymes?
yeah, one of the things well, yes, I do. I look at packaging and we'll just start at the very beginning. I look at packaging. Is it in a plastic bottle? Is it in a glass bottle? Is it convenient? Does it have a flip top or does it have a screw top? Um, is there a desiccant in there to keep it dry?
Mm,
All these enzymes are hydrolytic, and so moisture will and humidity will cause them to become active, and they'll lose their potency over time
mm,
uh, because they become active in the bottle. Um, uh, the next thing I look at is activity. I don't care about the milligrams because you can have I'm going to take protease for instance. Protease is measured in HUTs, or that's the activity acronym that they use for the activity units. Um, and you can have 40,000 or 50,000 HUTs of enzymes, or that's the activity units, 50,000 activity units
mhm.
in 20 milligrams, or you can have it in 100 milligrams. So
Uh,
So um, there are enzymes that are more concentrated than others, and over the years they become even more concentrated. And so um, what I look for are activity units. How many activity units? So back in the 90s, a incredibly strong formula would have 30,000 HUTs of protease. Now they have hundreds of thousands of HUTs of protease in one capsule.
Wow.
Yeah. So I look at that. That's the next thing. So I look at packaging, and then I look at activity, and I look at activity for every enzyme. And so protease is measured in HUTs, amylase is measured in SKBs, lipase is measured in FIPs, and people are going, what is all of that? I mean, it takes something to educate yourself on enzymes. It's not just, oh, I've got 50 milligrams. You can have
Right.
50 milligrams of something, and it has two activity units or no
Hmm.
activity units, and so the milligrams really don't matter. It's the activity units that matter. So that's what I look for. And then I look to see it. So enzymes work better with coenzymes, and coenzymes are usually minerals, or certain types of minerals. And so I look for a good trace mineral to be a part of the enzyme formula. If it's not part of the formula, then the body has to supply all the minerals to make sure that enzyme works properly.
Well, and
And
most people are deficient on minerals, so they don't have any extra to give, really.
right. So I look at packaging, I look at activity units, and then I look for coenzymes. And there are some vitamins that are coenzymes, but we don't normally do that. As you digest your food, the foods release vitamins
Mm.
and minerals, but we want to make sure that the enzymes work, in the stomach. So I look for a, a coenzyme or mineral.
For sure. That makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
so I'm thinking practical application in practice. And one of the things that I didn't realize until I had the conversation with you, it wasn't really a light bulb moment. And I've been doing this for a bit of time myself. Um, is so many people are low in digestive function. Um, whether it's because of their diet, because of being on SSRIs and some of these acid reducer medications and repeated antibiotics, any number of things, right? The exposure to E. coli, H. pylori, blah, blah, blah. So they've already got low digestive function. We as practitioners think we're doing a great service by offering an herbal formula,
Right.
say a multigrain. Okay. Fantastic formula. However, if digestive function isn't there, then even if it has 1,000 milligrams, they may only release 100 milligrams or 10 milligrams, because we know that with the over-the-counter supplements, especially the hard pills that you buy at Walgreens, they don't really give you very much. And so I hadn't really thought about the idea of, so I'm giving an herbal supplement. I'd be better giving it in addition to some enzyme support so that I know that we can overcome their deficiency,
Right.
right? And get them the best of what's coming out of that
Right.
supplement.
Yeah, if you were to just combine it with a digestive enzyme, now
Mhm.
now now it's going to get digested, it's going to get absorbed, and they're going to get more out of that herbal supplement than if they took it alone, especially if they have digestive issues.
So
And
is there, I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, the thing about digestion is that it, the research that was done back during Dr. Howell's time period, he would have told you that you are born with a certain amount of enzymes and you don't make any more. And once those enzymes run out, you die. And so he related it to a bank account. You can add to it by taking digestive enzymes, a supplement, or you can just continue to subtract from it by eating cooked processed foods. Your body has to supply all those digestive enzymes, and as they
Mhm.
run out, you age, your digestion gets worse, your gas and bloating gets worse, everything just gets worse as time goes on. Um, uh, I, I think it's more along the lines that your body can still produce enzymes. It's just that we get caught into this cycle of eating so many cooked processed foods that we're not giving the body the building blocks to produce enzymes anymore. And so it does catch up to you. So the old research was that you don't produce any more enzymes, but if you talk to anybody now, no, your body can produce enzymes, but if you're not, enzymes are made of protein. And if you're not digesting proteins well, you're not going to be creating any more enzymes. And
right?
so you get caught in a vicious circle and then you just degenerate quicker and you're gone. So
Yeah. So you have formulas with or without hydrochloric acid.
we
So
do, we have both.
HCl, right. And so, like in the case of mine, like I've got the HCl enzymes for my husband. He does much better with those. I am doing the carbo enzymes because my body doesn't dehydrate or doesn't detoxify the carbs quite as well as I'd like. Um, how would somebody know the difference between do I take a digestive enzyme or a digestive enzyme with HCl? Which one would be better?
Well, I mean, if you know that you're not digesting proteins well, sometimes the enzyme with HCl is the one you want to go with, or there's a lot of different things to look at. People with heartburn, a lot of times they go, "Oh, I don't want HCl because I have heartburn. I have too much HCl," and
Mm,
it's almost every time it's not too much HCl, it's that you don't have enough, and the body's creating gas and it's pushing whatever acids you have in your stomach up, and it causes the heartburn. So you add in the HCl and it goes away,
yeah.
and so in the stomach, the the body is when you eat a food, the body is going to start to secrete hydrochloric acid in the stomach to bring the pH down so it can start digesting protein. The enzymes in the stomach mostly digest protein. All your carbs and fats are normally digested in the small intestine and well, in the small intestine,
Mhm.
but protein digestion starts in the stomach, and the enzymes in the stomach require a very low pH. I've done some examples or demonstrations where I've taken a food and I've dripped hydrochloric acid. We have it in our lab. I'd bring it and I drip it right onto the food, and we expect, oh my gosh, it's acid. It's going to eat right through it. It's going to start to dissolve it. It doesn't do that. It smokes and doesn't, but it just sits there. It doesn't burn it. It just sits there.
Hmm.
And and yeah, it's pretty interesting because most people go, no, hydrochloric acid starts the digestive process. Well, what it does is it changes the pH, and it denatures protein. What it does is so your protein is a protein molecule, and when it gets introduced to hydrochloric acid, it denatures that protein molecule. It opens it up. So,
Ah,
so once it's opened up, now the enzyme can come in and insert itself and then break it apart and dissolve it. So,
yeah.
so in that way, hydrochloric acid does start the protein digestion, but it's not responsible for the total breaking apart. Enzymes are, but
Hmm.
it does change the pH so that proteases can start working. So
Wow.
if you have issues with protein, I would suggest the HCl with enzymes.
That's fascinating. I hadn't really seen it that way.
Right?
Huh. So, what do you think about the baking soda test for low or high hydrochloric acid?
What is that? The baking soda test? I know it'll alkalize it, but what do you mean? Can you
Yeah,
explain?
so there was I'm trying to remember the exact test, but the idea that if you have heartburn, if you do baking soda, then and if it works, you have the high acid, and if it doesn't work, you have low stomach acid. That was the theory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of. Um, either way, you take baking soda, it's going to alkalize your stomach, and so whether you have high acid or low acid, it's just going to alkalize it. So I don't quite understand if how that would say
Yeah.
one way or the other. It's just going to alkalize it. It's going to cause some relief.
Either way, right?
Either way, yeah, either way, it would cause some.
Awesome. So I think that we can probably go on for hours, and I would definitely recommend we come back and continue the conversation. Um, I think we've covered a lot of what we talked about we were going to cover. So this is cool opportunity to exchange ideas and learn more about enzymes because what a fascinating world.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But it's kept my attention for over 30 years.
Yeah, yeah, that you've stayed passionate to it. And you know what? You're likely, it's funny because we talk about we need these degrees and certifications and everything else. I think passion and experience get somebody far further than a piece of paper on the wall ever would. So I think that's awesome. And I appreciate that you've stuck with it for so long because, we will lose this knowledge and information without the enthusiasm of people like you. So I love it. Absolutely love it.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I'm going to, um, beyond this, anyone that's listened through the entire conversation, there's going to be more. Um, if you'd like to order enzymes to try them, I've got an affiliate link for you. Practitioners, I also have a link that you can purchase through. I think it's great to try them out. I was always like, send me some samples, and you know what I mean? Like I would order samples and try them on myself. And then I love that Lark sent me these muscle testing samples. So if you do muscle response testing in your clinic and you want to be able to utilize that, that was cool because that really makes a difference in terms of how do you answer the question of all the ones that are available, which one do you use?
Right.
So thank you so much for this. And how do they get a hold of you if they have questions that are beyond this conversation and way beyond my technical capabilities?
Well, you can get a hold of us on our website through enzymeenergy.com. There's a contact section. You can also email info@enzymeenergy.com.
Okay.
Um, and we have a phone number, but I don't have it in front of me. So
It's on the website.
it's on our website.
Yeah.
Next
Uh,
time I'm prepared with that. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, it's fine. No worries. Well, good. Thank you so much for taking this time. And I look forward to learning more. Protease enzymes are really, I think, for me, the most fascinating.
Yeah.
Because to me, though amylase carbohydrates, lipase fat, so many people with no gallbladder, all these bits and pieces. And the idea that you can use enzymes for detoxification, I want to explore that more.
Okay. That'd be
So let's do that.
okay. Let's
Yeah.
do. All
Yeah,
right.
sounds great. Well, thank you so much. And we'll talk soon again.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Yep.
All right.